Forgiveness is Freedom. Episode 2. The Biology of Resentment. How Anger Lives in Your Nervous System. The Divine Frequency. This episode was written by Dr. James Ojjeh. Welcome back to the Divine Frequency and to the second episode of our series, Forgiveness is Freedom. In our last episode, we named the weight. We spoke about the invisible burden of unforgiveness, how it occupies space in your mind, your heart, and your energy, and how it quietly costs you more than most people ever realize. We ended with a single, powerful invitation to acknowledge the weight, not to release it all at once, just to say, honestly, I have been carrying something that is hurting me. If you are here today, something in that message reached you, and that matters, because what we are about to explore in this episode goes deeper. We are going beneath the surface of emotion and into the body itself, into your cells, into your nervous system, into the very chemistry that is running through your bloodstream right now as you listen. Because anger is not just a feeling. Resentment is not just a thought. They are biological events, and they are living inside you in ways you may never have imagined. There is a fire that burns, without smoke, without flame, without anyone seeing it. But it burns in the jaw that tightens, before you even know why, in the shoulders that rise, toward the ears, at the sound of a name, in the stomach that clenches, when the memory arrives, uninvited, unannounced, and unwelcome. You have told yourself, you are over it, that it no longer affects you, that you have moved on. But your body tells a different story. It always has. And today, we learn to listen. The body keeps the record. Your body remembers what your mind has tried to forget. It remembers in the tightness of your shoulders, in the shallow catch of your breath, in the knot that forms in your stomach when a voice is raised or a door is closed too quickly. It remembers in the way you brace yourself before a conversation that has not yet happened, in the way you hold back tears you were once told not to cry, in the fatigue that settles into your bones when nothing has physically exhausted you. Your body is not simply the house you live in. It is the living, breathing diary of your emotional life. And every chapter of resentment you have carried has been recorded, not in words, but in chemistry. From a biological standpoint, every emotion you experience is a chemical event. When you feel something significant, whether joyful or painful, your brain organizes clusters of neurons into specific patterns. These neural patterns produce chemical signals, peptides, and hormones that are released into the bloodstream and sent to receptor sites on cells throughout your entire body. These chemicals tell your body how to feel. They are the language through which the brain communicates with every cell you carry. This is why emotions are not abstract. They are physical. They have weight, texture, and consequence. When you feel fear, your body tightens, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles prepare to fight or flee. When you feel love, your chest opens, your breathing deepens, and your body softens. When you feel shame, your posture collapses inward, your gaze drops, and your energy contracts. And when you feel resentment, when anger rises and lingers and repeats, your body responds with the full force of its survival chemistry, as though the person who wronged you were standing in the room right now, even if the event happened 5, 10, or 20 years ago. How anger hijacks your nervous system. Your body is equipped with a remarkable survival system. When you face a genuine threat, your nervous system activates a rapid and powerful response designed to keep you alive. This is the sympathetic branch of your autonomic nervous system, the fight or flight system. Within seconds of perceiving danger, your brain signals the adrenal glands to release a cascade of stress hormones, primarily adrenaline and cortisol, into the bloodstream. The effects are immediate and total. Your heart rate accelerates, your blood pressure rises, your breathing becomes rapid and shallow. Blood is redirected from your internal organs to your large muscle groups. Your pupils dilate. Your digestive system slows or shuts down. Your immune system temporarily surges, then suppresses. The rational, creative centers of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, go quiet. Blood flow shifts toward the hindbrain, the ancient, instinctual part of the brain that specializes in reactive, survival-based thinking. In the short term, this is an extraordinary system. It was designed to handle acute, temporary threats. A predator in the wild, a sudden physical danger, a moment of crisis that required immediate action. But here is where resentment becomes dangerous. Because your brain does not distinguish between a real threat happening now and a memory of a threat replayed in your mind. Every time you recall the offense, every time you replay the argument, every time the old anger rises, your body activates the exact same stress response, the same cortisol, the same adrenaline, the same cardiovascular strain, the same suppression of your immune system. And when this response is not occasional but chronic, when it runs day after day, week after week, year after year, the consequences are profound. Chronic elevation of cortisol suppresses immune function, disrupts sleep, impairs memory, degrades the lining of the digestive tract, increases systemic inflammation, and accelerates cellular aging. Research has shown that sustained emotional stress alters the expression of genes, reducing the production of proteins responsible for growth, repair, and immune defense. In simple terms, a body living in chronic resentment is a body that has shifted all its resources away from healing, creation, and growth, and redirected them entirely toward survival. And a body in survival mode is not equipped to heal. It is not designed to create. It is not capable of the kind of expansion that your life is asking of you. This is not a failure of willpower. It is biology, and understanding it is the first step toward changing it. The addiction you did not choose. Here is something that may surprise you. Your body can become addicted to resentment, not because you enjoy the pain, but because your cells have adapted to its chemistry. Consider what happens when a painful event occurs. The brain records it as a long-term memory by imprinting the emotional charge into neural circuitry. The body absorbs the chemical signature of the experience, and in the days and weeks that follow, you naturally recall the event. You replay it, you talk about it, you try to understand it, and with every recollection, the brain fires the same circuits, and the body re-experiences the same chemicals. If this continues over months or years, something significant begins to happen. The body becomes so accustomed to the chemical environment created by the emotional memory that it begins to expect it. The cells develop more receptor sites for those specific stress hormones. They become more sensitive to the signal. They begin to crave it. And this is the moment when emotional patterns become biological addictions. The body is no longer simply responding to your thoughts. It is demanding them. It sends signals to the brain, asking for the thoughts that will produce the chemicals it has grown dependent on. And the brain, responding to the body's request, generates more of the same thoughts, the same grievances, the same stories, the same replaying of the wound, not because they are true or helpful, but because the body needs its chemical fix. This creates a closed loop. The mind thinks the thought produces the chemical creates the feeling drives more of the same thoughts. and the cycle repeats hundreds of times a day, without you ever realizing that you are no longer choosing your thoughts. Your body is choosing for you. This is why you can intellectually know that you need to forgive. You can read the books, you can attend the workshops, you can say the words, and still feel unable to let go, because the change you are attempting is a cognitive one, but the prison you are trapped in is a chemical one. The mind may be ready to move forward, but the body is still anchored to the past. And since the body is the unconscious mind, it will always overpower conscious intention until it is directly addressed. The heart under siege. Let me speak directly about what chronic resentment does to your heart. Not as a metaphor, as a medical reality. The stress-based emotions, fear, anger, frustration, resentment, shame, produce chaotic, fragmented signals in the heart's rhythm. They activate the sympathetic nervous system, flood the body with cortisol and adrenaline, suppress immune function, and keep the brain locked in narrow, survival-oriented processing. When these emotions become chronic, they erode the body's capacity for healing, creativity, and coherent function. Research from the HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that the heart generates the largest electromagnetic field in the body, a field that extends beyond the skin and can be measured several feet away. When you are in a state of anger or resentment, that field becomes chaotic and fragmented. Your heart rate variability, a key marker of nervous system resilience and overall health, decreases. The heart is working harder, beating less efficiently, and sending distress signals throughout the entire system. Over time, this chronic cardiovascular stress contributes to elevated blood pressure, increased risk of heart disease, arterial inflammation, and a measurably shortened lifespan. The research is clear. People who carry sustained hostility and resentment have significantly higher rates of cardiovascular events than those who practice forgiveness and emotional regulation. Your heart was not designed to carry this burden. It was designed for coherence, for rhythm, for the steady, harmonious pulse of a life lived in alignment. And every moment you spend in resentment is a moment your heart is being asked to function under siege, the way back to your body. So if resentment lives in the body, then the path out of resentment must also include the body. You cannot think your way out of a chemical addiction. You cannot rationalize away pain that was never given permission to exist. The healing must involve the whole self, the mind, the heart, the body, and the breath. And the breath is where it begins. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body. It runs from the brainstem through the face, throat, heart, lungs, and digestive system. It is the primary communication pathway of the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest, repair, and restoration. When the vagus nerve is stimulated through slow, intentional breathing, it sends signals of safety throughout the body. It lowers inflammation. It calms the heart. It soothes the gut. And it communicates to the brain that the environment is safe enough for healing to begin. When you slow your breathing, when you extend the exhale, when you breathe with intention and presence, something measurable happens. Blood pressure decreases. Cortisol levels drop. Heart rate variability improves. The body receives the signal that the threat is over, that it is safe to move out of survival and into restoration. You do not need a studio. You do not need a teacher. You do not need equipment. You need only your breath, a few minutes of stillness, and the willingness to turn your attention inward. So I invite you now, wherever you are, to pause. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold gently for 4 counts, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 counts. Do this 3 times. And as you breathe, say quietly to yourself, I am safe. The war is over. My body has permission to heal. This is not the end of the work, but it is the beginning of a new conversation with your body. A conversation that says, I hear you. I honor what you have been carrying, and together, we are going to set it down. You did not ask for this fire. You did not invite the wound that lit it, but you have been sitting in the smoke for far too long, and your body, your beautiful, faithful, resilient body, has been keeping the record of every moment you stayed. It did not do this to punish you. It did this to protect you. But the emergency is over now. The alarm can stop, and the healing that your cells have been waiting to begin can finally, gently start. Not through force, through breath, through presence, through the quiet, sacred decision to stop asking your body to carry what your soul was never meant to hold. If this episode opened something within you, if you felt your body respond to these words, please share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And subscribe to stay connected as we continue this journey together. In our next episode, we face the hardest forgiveness of all, the one most people avoid for an entire lifetime: forgiving yourself. We will explore the biology of self-blame, why we hold ourselves to impossible standards, and how the weight of guilt may be the heaviest stone you carry. And we will begin, gently and with compassion, to set it down. Until then, breathe. Place your hand on your heart and remind your body that the war is over. Stay rooted in your truth. Stay in your light. And stay with us as we continue to awaken, to heal, and to live fully in the divine frequency.